Okay, so today we're chatting LogRhythm. I think you've launched version 7.7 of your I think you call it NextGen SIEM platform.
Yeah.
Can you just give us a sort of high level view as to what it's focusing on? What are the new bits, I guess?
Sure, of course, Phil. Absolutely delighted to. So one of the mission that we have, or the primary mission that we have at LogRhythm, is really to help ensure our customers are fully equipped to deal with both current and emerging cyber threats and cyber attacks. And 7.7 is really a continuation of that progression that we've had over the last 5, 10, 15 years or so. And really 7.7 enables our clients to really streamline the whole threat detection and response processes that exist within their security operations centers. We all recognize, I think, that the faster an organization can react to a cyber attack, really the better outcomes that organization will face in terms of being able to neutralize the threat more immediately and avoid any of the consequences that can take place from these sometimes devastating attacks. And really 7.7 is a continuation of that theme.
Okay, and I think the major part, if I've got it right, is something called timeline view. So can you talk us through what that is and why it, what the difference is going to make?
Sure. One of the initiatives that we've been undertaking over the course of the last few years is really to try and ensure that security analysts have everything that they need at their fingertips in order to ensure that they can do their jobs as effectively as possible. And timeline view is an evolution of that concept. With timeline view, an analyst now has a really consolidated chronological view of any activity associated with a user or a host. And that view is in the context of one single kind of pane of glass perspective that provides really kind of immediate contextualization and a very, very quick view as to exactly what's happened to that user or host over a given timeline period. So at an instant, an analyst is able to view all of the events and activities that have impacted that user or that host, and be able to then really navigate through that sequence of activities that led to this suspicious activity and this incident that's raised within the organization. And obviously the analyst then has access to be able to pivot from that data and to be able to drill into the data in more detail and get further context on it. But immediately at a glance, the analyst can see what's taken place. So, if you put that, Phil, in the context of maybe an insider threat type activity, if I was in an organization, Phil, as Kev Eley, and I was behaving suspiciously, and a SOC analyst wanted to understand all of the activities, all of the interactions that Kev Eley had over the course of the last, maybe the last day or the last week or whatever, that timeline view just gives them that really crisp and clean visibility of all of that activity associated with it. So we think it's really going to improve the analyst's experience and give them, greater efficiency and effectiveness in the role that they do.
Okay, and in terms of some of the other benefits, I mean, clearly software doesn't exist in isolation. There's loads of bits of software and it's good if they each talk to each other. So am I right in thinking there's a bit more about sort of third-party platform integration where you're sort of working alongside other bits of software? Is that right?
That's definitely the case. I mean, if I think back to all of the implementations that I've personally been involved in over the course of the last few years, there's really always been a requirement for LogRhythm's SIEM platform to be able to integrate with third-party tools and technologies. I mean, it's a given, obviously, that we ingest data from a wide variety of different sources, but often an enterprise organization will have a requirement for us to integrate maybe with a ticketing system or maybe with some other enterprise application that they have. And we've often had the ability to do that, but with this particular release of functionality, we've taken it a step further to ensure that organizations can really have much simpler integration with those important third-party systems that they may have, or indeed automation type systems that they have. And that's through the introduction of what we're calling the Alarm REST API. And really that ensures that an organization can really have bi-directional integration between the alarms that we're generating and other systems that they may want to be recipients of logarithm type data. So, you know, really important development for those enterprise class deployments that we're often involved in.
Okay, and we obviously live in a very much a cloud world these days. So I think one of the other benefits is to do with seamless log configuration in the cloud. Is that right?
It is, yeah, absolutely. You know, more and more, it's certainly been the case that organizations are embracing the cloud, a wide variety of different types of cloud deployments that we see time in, time out. And again, you know, we've had support for cloud collection for some time, but we were continually innovating, continually looking at ways in which we can improve an organization's ability to collect data from the variety of different types of log sources that they have within the cloud. And so we've introduced a graphical user interface. We've introduced a new mechanism to be able to ensure that an organization can very rapidly and easily configure log sources in the cloud and get them ingested into the LogRhythm platform. So, you know, again, for organizations that are on those types of digital transformation journeys or placing, you know, a heavier emphasis on, you know, bringing applications into the cloud or using cloud type services, you know, it's a very important development for those types of organizations.
Okay, and I guess the sort of on a similar theme, there's also so you announcing something around built-in support for some various cloud-based services. Is that right?
It is, yeah. So again, you know, it's, you know, a lot of organizations continue to increase their security posture. We see that organizations are you know, investing in other best of breed technology tools, and it's often very important that we have integration with those tools and those capabilities as well. And so we're continually looking at the mechanism by which we can ingest data from those sources, but also send data to those sources. And as part of that, we're continuing to augment the number of out-of-the-box cloud-based services that we support from other security ecosystem providers. And again, as part of that, we're announcing that we're supporting, for example, Carbon Black Cloud and Okta, amongst a variety of other sources that we're bringing out. And again, I think we recognize that as organizations continue to improve their security maturity and their posture, there's a requirement and in fact a responsibility on us to be able to help ensure that organizations can have that type of integration with some of these other best in breed type solutions. So we want to play very much in that ecosystem of technologies that form part of an organization's modern security stack.
Okay, and just before you tell me when, how, and where it's available, just a bit of a more general question. How do you see SIEM sort of fitting in? Clearly, cybersecurity has never been more important, and you know, the year we've all had, people working all over the place, etc. And there's this focus, say, on zero trust security stuff. Just can you give us some idea of how you see SIEM fit? You know, the importance of that within the wider, I guess, security ecosystem.
Definitely, Phil. Well, I mean, the last year has been a year unlike no other in my career. I mean, in absolute, if you'd have said to me, you know, 18 months ago that we would have gone through the experience that we've gone through over the course of the last year, I'm not sure that I would have even really considered that to be, you know, to be even possible. So I think it's really put security in the spotlight again. You know, the fact that organizations now have a situation where individuals within their company are now, or in their organization, are now working from home outside of the traditional security perimeter, you know, working across a variety of scenarios that frankly companies, you know, particularly companies in regulated industries, would never have thought that they would have had to have dealt with that for such a long period of time, is really created an emphasis for organizations to ensure that their security processes and procedures and technologies are very much robust enough to deal with the types of threats that we've seen over the course of the pandemic. And SIEM, for me, still sits very much at the core of a modern security operations center. You know, the reality of the situation is that the evidence of a cyber attack taking place within an organization is all contained within the telemetry that is associated with the systems, and with the kind of fingerprint, so to speak, that the adversaries leave behind across a network. And so the ability for a SIEM to sit centrally with an organization to harvest all of that rich telemetry is hugely important, I believe, for an organization to ensure that they are staying one step ahead of the adversary. So I think, I think SIEMs clearly have evolved from systems of old and continue to evolve, particularly with enhancements around machine learning type capabilities, and the ability for us to be able to leverage some of those capabilities to ensure that the fidelity of alarms that a SOC receives is very, very much of the highest quality. But they're absolutely crucial, I believe, to a modern organization's defense in depth approach.
Great. Okay. And so is the product available right now? Because sometimes people announce it a little bit before. And
no.
Is there a trial version people can go and have a look at?
No, we absolutely wanted to get this out there as quickly as possible, in the hands of our customers, prospective customers, and our business partners. And so the product has gone through all of the rigorous testing that you would expect and associate with an enterprise release. But we've coordinated the announcement of this release to ensure that as soon as we announced it, it's immediately available to organizations to deploy within their environment. So absolutely, if individuals are interested in more detailed overview, then I'm more than happy to be contacted and take individuals through a more detailed view of what we've discussed at a high level this afternoon.
Okay. That's great. Enjoyed chatting to you, Kevin. So thanks much for your time.
Thanks very much, Phil. Appreciate it. Take care.